Alright, good morning everyone. Here we are with break 271. Another 24 traders combo break, which includes a 24 traders case, a 24 traders hobby mini starter case, and a 24 traders priority box. Alright, there's our screen, our team list for today. Where are we? There we are. Tony Luxton with the Broncos and the Raiders. Sean May with Bulldogs, Sharks, Dolphins. Jordan with the Titans. Sean May with Manly. Jordan with Storm. Knights, Cowboys, Eels with Sean. Tony with Panthers and Rabbitohs. Roger with the Dragons. Tony with the Roosters. Sean with the Warriors and the Tigers. Break 272 just listed or put in stock. It was as coming soon, so if you had that in your wish list, you should have got the notification. Break 273 is now coming soon. A few spots already sold in 272. And we still have a few spots left in break 270 as well as the Raz. For the Bulldogs spot, first Raz for the Bulldogs spot. And don't forget the Razzes can be found in the Facebook group for your chance to score a spot. Alright, let's get these out, ready to go. Let's go. Copper, number 58, Valami kick out for the Bulldogs. Copper, number 154, Racine McGregor for the Dragons. In the gold, number 74, Gale Broughton for the Broncos. Number 80 in the copper, Jerome Luai for the Panthers. Holly Dodd, number 48 in the silver for the Raiders. Oh. In the copper, number 151, Molly Olika R2. In the gold, number 40, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. In the copper, number 105, April for the Cowboys. In the silver, number 140, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. In the copper, number 166, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. In the silver, number 9, Adam Fanua-Blake for the Warriors. Let's do that one before we knock it off. In the silver, number 103, Elsie Albert for the Eels. In the gold, number 84, Jerome Luai for the Panthers. $113 in the copper for the Tigers, Sarah. In the copper, number 201, Gail Broughton for the Broncos. In the copper, number 14, Braden Hamlin at Yulee for the Sharks. In the gold, number 93, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. We got three left. In the copper, number 193, Lachlan Elias. Oh, we got a goal. Number 91, Luke Keary for the Roosters. What do we got? Last but not least, number 12 in the silver, Elliot Whitehead for the Raiders. Alright, let's go get through the packs. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Showcase, Tolator Koala for Manly. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. So I have more issues opening these retail packs than what I do with the hobbies. Tyrone Munro, Club Heroes for the Rabbitohs. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Storm. Felice Kafusi parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for the Dolphins. Tolator Koala parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Ben Jabojevic for Manly. Brian To'o parallel for Panthers. World in League, Josh Alloy for Manly. Kieran Foran parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Cowboys parallel checklist. World in League, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Brendan Smith parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Raiders parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Shaylee Bent for the Titans. Nico Hines parallel for the Sharks. Club Heroes, Blake Laurie for the Dragons. Payne Huss parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars for the Dragons. Isaiah Katoa parallel for the Dolphins. I don't know if that was a hiccup at first or what that was then, but yeah. Taryn Aiken, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Campbell Graham parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sword and Shield, Nathan Cleary for the Panthers. Sean Johnson parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Ronaldo Mortalo parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Tyrone Peachy for Panthers. Bradman Best parallel for the Knights. World in League, Shannon Muru for the Eels. Jordan Rapana parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Will Warbrick parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Taylor Preston for the Sharks. Luke Keary parallel for the Roosters. World in League, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Tavita Totola parallel for the Rabbitohs. Thank you. Rising Stars, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Ezra Mam, parallel for the Broncos. Sword and Shield, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Junior Tupou, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Mikal Ravalawa for the Dragons. Bellamy Kickout, parallel for the Bulldogs. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Balance to wear for the Dolphins. Hamoli Olika R2, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Panthers, parallel checklist. Women's NRL number 6. Premiership predictor for the Tigers. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Isaiah Tass, season to remember for the Rabbitohs. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jonah Pezzett for the Storm. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Connor for the Dragons. Panthers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Molly Olika R2, parallel for Manly. World in League, Shannon Muru for the Eels. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Mackenzie Wiki, Women's NRL for the Raiders. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Kieran Foran parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Cowboys parallel checklist. Allow me kick out parallel for the Bulldogs. G'day, g'day, g'day. Still finishing the retail packs. Mia Wood, season to remember for the Roosters. Sean Johnson, parallel for the Warriors. We started a few minutes late today. To be honest, I was actually going through the Facebook posts and trying to catch up with them. Sorry for everyone that has been waiting. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Parallel Bradman Best for the Knights. Welding League, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. No, I haven't missed much yet. Score of Tigers predictor out of the packets. NRL Tigers predictor out of the packet so far. Rising Stars, Brendan Haynes for the Eels. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Parallel Jason Tormalolo for the Cowboys. Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Showcase Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Destiny Brill for the Broncos. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Club Heroes, Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Sean Johnson, parallel for the Warriors. Sword and Shield, Isaiah Yo for Panthers. Tamali Olika R2, parallel for Manly. Getting down to the end of these, 5 packets left to go. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Panthers, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Tyrone Peachy for the Panthers. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Tyler Wong, World in League for the Dragons. Jordan Raviner, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Will Warbrick, parallel for the Storm. And last but not least, season to remember, Valance to wear for the Dolphins. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Alright, let's get rid of them. We have our priority box, which we'll save for last, guys. But let's find out who scores case card for today. Number 10. Who have we got with them? Mr. Sean May with the Eels, Sean Lane. There we go. Alright, let's get these out and then we'll get stuck straight in. Oh. Gonna have a drink of coffee first, guys, while it's still warm. Alright. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbitohs. How did everyone go with their tips last night? No, well, if Reynolds and Haas was in, I think I might have thought about picking him, but without Reynolds mainly as being their main playmaker at the moment, it was a bit hard to go against Panthers. Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Ezra Mann, parallel for the Broncos. I'm just happy I'm 1 from 1. Probably as good as it gets for the rest of the round. Rising Stars, Benjamin Lovett for the Rabbitohs. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Alexis for the Dragons. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Dolphins. Quincy Dodd, Women's NRL for the Sharks. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. World in League, David Fafita for the Titans. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Nico Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Ben Boyich for Manly. Junior Tupou, parallel for the Tigers. Lauren Brown, Women's NRL for the Titans. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Showcase, Tolator Koala for Manly. Will Warbrick, parallel for the Storm. Gold parallel, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Number 74. Tolator Koala, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Club Heroes, Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Sword and Shield, Clint Guffo for the Eels. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. World in League, Melly Hafunga for the Broncos. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for Storm. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL, Millie Boyle for the Roosters. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Retirement, Renee Target for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jonah Pezzett for the Storm. Bellamy Kickout, parallel for the Bulldogs. World in League, Corbin Baxter for the Roosters. Kieran Foran, parallel for the Titans. Gold parallel, Destiny Brill for the Broncos, number 148. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Campbell Graham parallel for the Rabbitohs. World in League, Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Jason Tormololo, parallel for the Cowboys. Club Heroes, Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. Payne Haas, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Dean Madison for Manly. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Sword and Shield team for the Panthers. Sean Johnson, parallel for the Warriors. Running Machines, number 7, David Clemmer for the Tigers. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Semi Valemi, Welding League for the Cowboys. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. 5 packets left for our first box. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Jamal Fogarty, season to remember for the Raiders. Amoli Olika R2, parallel for Manly. Jake Trbojevic, Sword and Shield for Manly. Panthers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Jareem Buller for the Tigers. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Alright, box 1 done and dusted. Let's go box number 2. Rising Stars, Dean Madison for Manly. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Alexis for the Dragons. Nick Meaney, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Dragons, parallel checklist. Club Heroes, Sarah Togatuki for the Tigers. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Batil Vet Welsh for the Tigers. Adokar, parallel for the Bulldogs. Reed Marnie, showcase for the Bulldogs. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Caitlin Johnston for the Knights. Milwaukee Fodawaika, parallel for Titans. World in League, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Chad Townsend parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Damien Cook parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Kira Dibb for the Cowboys. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Jaden Campbell parallel for the Titans. Sean Bloor gold parallel for the Tigers. Number 20. Jermaine Isako parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Jacob Saifiti parallel for the Knights. Wiremu Greek, Club Heroes for the Eels. Jalen Wateen Zalesniak parallel for the Warriors. Sword and Shield, David Fafita for the Titans. Sifa Talakai parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jonah Pezzett for the Storm. Sean Bloor parallel for the Tigers. Sorry guys, give me 2 seconds. I just realised I forgot to deal with my phone. There we go. Season to remember, Hudson Young for the Raiders. Tommy Turbo parallel for Manly. World in League, Shante for the Titans. Alex Johnston parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Nevada George for the Tigers. James Fisher Harris parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Lindsay Collins parallel for the Roosters. World in League, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Hudson Young parallel for the Raiders. Gold parallel, Tyler Long for the Dragons, number 105. Storm parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Dane Gagai parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Cameron McInnes parallel for the Sharks. Showcase, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Stefano Utakamanu parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Dream Buller for the Tigers. Ben Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Luke Keary, Welding League for the Roosters. Jerome Luai parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Luke Keary for the Roosters. Jared Rera-Hargraves parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Benjamin Lovett for the Rabbitohs. Reece Welsh parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Dolphins parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jada Taylor for the Sharks. Sebastian Chris parallel for the Raiders. Welding League parallel, Luke Keary for the Roosters. Xavier Coates parallel for the Storm. 2 packets left for box number 2. And we have a Dalian Predictor for the men's, number 32 for the Broncos. Jack Bird parallel for the Dragons. And last but not least, Sword and Shield team for the Warriors, and Jeremiah Nanai parallel for the Cowboys. Alright, move that box. Have a drink of coffee and we'll get into our third box. This is box number 3, guys. Mikhail Ravalawa, Welding League for Dragons. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jackson Paulo for the Roosters. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Gold parallel, Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys, number 55. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Club Heroes, Taryn Aiken for the Roosters. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. Sword and Shield, Max King for the Bulldogs. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ruby Ellis for the Eels. Warriors, parallel checklist. Holly Dodd, Women's NRL for the Raiders. Brighton Nakora, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Jermaine Hopgood, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Margot Avella, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Just a reminder, guys, we have started listing 24 player in focus cards on the website. I know Vegas round is there. I'm not sure what else. Not Vegas. Indigenous. We might have Vegas. I'm not sure. Jerome Hughes, World in League for the Storm. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. So if you missed out buying through TLA, they are available on the website as we receive them. Emma Manzelman, gold parallel number 205. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tom Jenkins for Panthers. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Dolphins. Showcase group card. Randomised at the end of the break between all 17 spots. Phoenix Crossland, parallel for the Knights. Oh, nice. Black Authentic number 28. Scott Sorensen for the Panthers. Jermaine Isako, parallel for the Dolphins. Club Heroes, Isaiah Yo for Panthers. Jackson Hastings, parallel for Knights. Season to remember, Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Adam Fennell Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tom Weaver for the Titans. Sharks Parallel Checklist. Sword and Shield for the Broncos. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Welding League, Shael Robbins for the Raiders. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Destiny Brill for the Broncos. Season to remember, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Emma Tony Gatto for the Sharks. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Dolphins. Sword and Shield, Jack DeBellin for the Dragons. Joseph Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Francesca Goldthorpe for the Cowboys. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Vitalina McCaw for the Cowboys. Dragons, parallel checklist. Showcase, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Orion Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Sua Wong for the Roosters. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Voting League, Lachlan Ilias for the Rabbitohs. Mawaki Fodawaka, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Jada Taylor for the Sharks. Katoni Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Chad Townsend, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Tallis Duncan for the Rabbitohs. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. World in League, parallel, yep. Shante Kira for the Titans. Broncos, parallel checklist, and that is another box done and dusted. Alright, finish this coffee off and we'll get into box number 4. For any of me regulars that are wondering why I put the piles of cards to the side instead of putting them in the box like I normally do, because at the end of each break, after I spend the time putting them all into the boxes, I need to empty a few of the boxes out to fill up the rest. So I thought I'd save myself that little bit of time and just keep a couple out ready to go. Women's NRL, Kennedy Sharrington for the Eels. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. And this is box number 4, guys. World in League, Josh Alloway for Manly. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Dolphins. New break listed this morning, break 272 with break 273 listed as coming soon. Rising Stars, Xavier Wilson for the Broncos. The Knights parallel checklist. Break 270 has 3 spots left with a Raz listed for the Bulldogs spot. Season to remember, Bradman Best for the Knights and Wade Egan parallel for the Warriors. March giveaway, Legends case card number 16, Terry Lamb. For the month of March, all orders from the 1st till the 31st. $100 for every $100 spent in that period. Doesn't have to be in one, it's for all combined. You'll get an entry for every $100 and we'll randomise that on the 1st of April. Rising Stars for the Titans, Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbitohs. Gold parallel, Jesse Bromwich for the Dolphins, number 36. Jesse Ramian parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Will Warbrick for Storm. Apasai Coruscant parallel for the Tigers. Club Heroes, Tane Tapiki for the Warriors. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Yes. Spot raise number 7 for the Bulldogs spot in break 270. I have forgotten one or two, but pretty safe to say they're always pinned at the top of the group. Isaiah Papali'i, Sword and Shield for the Tigers. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Sean Johnson, season to remember for the Warriors. Alafiana Campiera for the Titans. Showcase Renato Molitalo for the Sharks. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Robert Derby for the Cowboys. Sydney Roosters, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Georgia Roach for the Knights. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Raymond Vega for Manly. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. World in League, Shannon Muru for the Eels. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. NRL Premiership Predictor for the Raiders, number 207. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Sword and Shield, Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Tigers Parallel Checklist. Gold Parallel, Jessica Surgis for the Roosters, 199. Matt Burton, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Atessa Poole for the Roosters. David Fafita, Parallel for the Titans. Club Heroes, Jareem Buller for the Tigers. Reece Robson, Parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Jacob Preston, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Season 2 member Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Jai Arrow, Parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Kurt Capewell, Parallel for Broncos. Sword and Shield for the Dragons. Tom Gilbert, Parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Ewan Aiken for the Dolphins. Kalen Ponga, Parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Jackson Ford, Parallel for the Warriors. Retirement, Josh Hodgson for the Eels. Season to remember, Valance to wear for Dolphins. Parallel, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Showcase, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. James Tedesco, Parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Matthew Tomoko, Parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for the Dolphins. Jake Trbojevic, Parallel for Manly. World in League, Lasana Lutu for the Tigers. Cameron Munster, Parallel for Storm. Every time I spot the Sharks base cards, and they always look very light compared to everything else. Season 2 remember, Tyrone Peachy for the Panthers. Jaden Stewart, Parallel for the Dragons. Got 3 packets left for the box. Women's NRL, Leanne Tafuga for the Tigers. Dylan Edwards, Parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. World in League parallel, Elsie Albert for the Eels. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Alright, another box done and dusted. Alright, let's go box number 5. Rising Stars, Tallis Duncan for the Rabbitohs. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Carl for the Bulldogs. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. Felice Kafusi, World in League for the Dolphins. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Eliza Salata for the Tigers. Palami Kickout, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Dallin Latine Zalesniak for the Warriors. Kieran Foran, parallel for the Titans. Gold parallel, King Gutho for the Eels. Oh, jersey number 1. Who's that? Eels, Sean May. Oh, nice. Case card and a jersey. Gold parallel. Not going too bad at all. Well, let's put it in the right team, eh? Cowboys parallel checklist. Well, definitely a nice hit. Sean. Rising Stars, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Club Heroes for the Cowboys. Payne Haas, parallel for the Broncos. Sword and Shield, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Showcase, Reece Welsh for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Alfiana Campiera for the Titans. Warriors parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Bradman Best parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Dominic Young for the Knights. Sean Johnson parallel for the Warriors. Patil Vet Welsh, Women's NRL for the Tigers. Renato Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. World in League, Brendan Wakeham for the Tigers. Amoli Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. World in League, Saitili Tupanua for the Roosters. Brighton Nakora, parallel for the Sharks. Margot Avella, gold parallel for the Dragons, number 185. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Club Heroes, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Will Warbrick, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Connor for the Dragons. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Sword and Shield team for the Knights. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. World in League for the Titans, Georgia Hale. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Dolphins. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. World in League, Racine McGregor for the Dragons. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Running Machines, Philip Semi for the Titans, number 9. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Jason Tomalolo, parallel for Cowboys. We've got 4 packets left for box number 5. Sword and Shield, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Katoni Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Women's NRL, Holly Wheeler for the Sharks. and Jesse Bromwich parallel for Dolphins. Showcase Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs and Phoenix Crossland parallel for the Knights. Alright. So what are we up to? Box number 6. I don't know why I've been grabbing them off the pack pile, but anyway. Season to remember, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs, Jason Tormalolo parallel for the Cowboys. Gold parallel, Reed Marnie for the Bulldogs, number 18. Excuse me. Latrell Mitchell parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Robert Derby for the Cowboys. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Club Heroes, Milwaukee Fotowaika for the Titans. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for Dolphins. Sword and Shield, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Phoenix Crossland, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Raymond Vega for Manly. Warriors, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Dolphins. Brighton Nakora, parallel for the Sharks. Ali Brigginshaw, Women's NRL for the Broncos. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Atessa Poole for the Roosters. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. World in League, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Will Warbrick for Storm. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. World in League, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Holly Wheeler, gold parallel, number 131 for the Sharks. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Club Heroes, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Ruben Garrick, season to remember for Manly. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Predictor for the women's, number 189 in the Tigers. So we've got a men's and a women's Tigers predictor, one out of the starter packs and one out of the case. Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders, parallel. Tigers, Sean May. Sean May not having a bad break at all across a few teams. Women's NRL, Shania Power for the Cowboys. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. How about Paul Cohen with the Legends SIG? First break ever, been a long time customer. First break ever and takes home a Legends SIG. Beginner's luck there or what? Season to remember, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Jordan Rapana, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Jermaine Hopgood, parallel for the Eels. Showcase, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Will Warbrick, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Xavier Willison for Broncos. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Sword and Shield for the Raiders. Toby Sexton, parallel for Broncos. World in League, Serena for the Sharks. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for Dolphins. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Big Hammer, parallel for the Dolphins. Women's NRL, Rachel Pearson for the Eels. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Knights. Campbell Graham, showcase for the Rabbitohs. And Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars for the Titans. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Sharks Parallel Checklist. Mitchell Moses for the Eels. David Clemmer, Parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Nathan Cleary, Parallel for Panthers. And last but not least, for box number 6, World in League, Parallel for the Sharks. And Joey Manu, Parallel for the Roosters. Alright, box number 7, let's go. Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Jacob Saifiti, Parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Eliza for the Tigers. Sean Bloor, Parallel for the Tigers. Gareth Broughton, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Tommy Turbo, Parallel for Manly. Georgia Roach, World in League for the Knights. James Fisher-Harris, Parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Yasmin Clydesdale for the Knights. Max King, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Lindsay Collins, Parallel for the Roosters. Season 2 member, Mali Hafunga for the Broncos. Hudson Young, Parallel for the Raiders. Mikhail Ravalawa, Gold Parallel, number 36. Storm Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Mikhail Ravalawa, Parallel for the Dragons. Club Heroes, Tristan Saylor for the Broncos. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Parallel for the Eels. Showcase, Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Titans Parallel Checklist. Season to remember, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Dallin Watine-Zelezniak, Parallel for the Warriors. Showcase, Blake Laurie for the Dragons. CSF Italikai, Parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. Murray Talagi, Parallel for the Cowboys. World in League, Sarah Togatuki for the Tigers. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Sword and Shield, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Addo Carr, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Azali Faye for the Eels. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Reece Welsh, parallel for the Broncos. World in League, Siasifa Talakai for the Sharks. Dolphins, parallel checklist. Women's Gold parallel, Zahara Tamara, number 19 for the Raiders. Dan Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Tiana Smith for the Cowboys. Valance to wear, parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Justin Olam for the Storm, parallel. Greg Marshue, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Connor for the Dragons. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Club Hero, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Stefano Utkamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Well, Rising Stars, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Benj Boyich, parallel for Manly. Retirement, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Tamir Martin, parallel for the Warriors. Sword and Shield team for the Eels. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. World in League, Micah Sivo for the Eels. Jared Vera-Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Sebastian Chris, parallel for Raiders. Season to remember, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Xavier Coates, parallel for the Storm. Sword and Shield, Cameron Munster for the Storm. Jack Bird, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Alfiana Campiera for the Titans. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. 2 packets left for box number 7. Season 2 remember, Lachlan Ilias for the Rabbitohs. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for Cowboys. And last packet for the box. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Alright, box number 8. Gold parallel checklist for the Warriors, number 29. Eels parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Mason Teague for the Dolphins. Jacob Preston, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season 2 remember, Jolly Cherry Evans for Manly. Dream Buller, parallel for the Tigers. Jerome Hughes, showcase for Storm. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars for the Roosters. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Emily Curtin for the Tigers. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. World in League, Valami Kikau for the Bulldogs. Big Papa for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Ebony Pryor for the Tigers. Christian Welsh, parallel for the Storm. Season 2 member, Nick Meaney for Storm. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Club Heroes, Xavier Coates for Storm. Alfiana Campiera, parallel for Titans. Sword and Shield, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Ruben Cotter, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season 2 member, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Tiana Penatani, Women's NRL for the Sharks. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Gordon Tong for Manly. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Brendan Hands for the Eels, Knights, parallel checklist. World in League for the Titans, Isaac Liu. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. World in League parallel for the Tigers, Adam Dewey. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Gold parallel, Georgia Hale for the Titans, number 178. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Sword and Shield team for the Storm. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. World in League, Maya Hill Moana for the Roosters. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield, Isaiah Yo for Panthers. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Thomas Cant for the Knights. Dave Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Corbin Baxter for the Roosters. Reece Robson, parallel for Cowboys. Tyson Frizzell, showcase for the Knights. And Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Mackenzie Wiki for the Raiders. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Roosters, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Shante for the Titans. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Jason Tomololo for the Cowboys. Tom Gilbert, parallel for the Dolphins. Season to remember, Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Jada Ferguson for the Broncos. Jackson Ford, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for the Tigers. Club Heroes, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Alright, last packet for the box. And we have Initials, Authentics, Abbey Church for the Eels, number 179. Tigers, Parallel Checklist. And that is the end of box number 8. Alright, let's go, let's go. Showcase, Nat Butcher for the Roosters. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Gold parallel, Batil Vet Welsh for the Tigers, number 143. Tolator Koala, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Wiremu Greek for the Eels. Brian Toth, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Jack Howarth for Storm. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Maya Wood for the Roosters. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Tamika Upton, Club Heroes for the Knights. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Raiders, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Zach Labert for the Cowboys. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Emily Bass, Women's NRL for the Titans. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. World in League, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Sandon Smith for the Roosters. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Gold parallel, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders, number 14. Philip Semi parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Tommy Dearden parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Tane for the Warriors. Nelson Asafa Solomona parallel for Storm. Club Heroes, Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Tavita Totola parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sword and Shield, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Ezra Mann parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Talon De Silva for the Tigers. Felice Kafusi parallel for the Dolphins. Season 2, remember, Kieran Foran for the Titans. Daniel Saifiti parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Sophie Hollyman for the Raiders. Chance Nicole Klokstad parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. Nico Hines parallel for the Sharks. Tyler Wong, World in League for the Dragons. Junior Tupou parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Holly God for the Raiders. Bellamy Kickout parallel for the Bulldogs. Season 2, remember, Dylan Watine Zalesniak for the Warriors. Kieran Foran parallel for the Titans. Sword and Shield, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ryan Couchman for the Dragons. Campbell Graham parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Payne Haas parallel for the Broncos. Showcase, Sean Lane for the Eels. Isaiah Katoa parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Ryan Rivet for the Knights. Bradman Best parallel for the Knights. World in League for the Raiders, Joseph Tarpanay, Sean Johnson parallel for the Warriors. Season 2, remember, Dominic Young for the Knights. Ronaldo Molitalo parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Sword and Shield, Felice Kafusi and Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. 3 packets left for the box. Box number 9. World in League, Justin Olam for the Storm. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. World in League, Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. Amali Olakatu, parallel for Manly. George Burgess, retirement for the Rabbitohs. And Panthers parallel checklist. Box number 10, leaving 3 boxes left to go. 2 from the case and the priority box. Rising Stars, Jack Howarth for Storm. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Tyler Wong for the Dragons. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Jerome Luai, World in League for the Panthers. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Reece Welsh, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Dolphins parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ryan Couchman for the Dragons. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for the Panthers. Gold parallel, Tommy Turbo for Manly, number 59. Dan Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Sandon Smith for the Roosters. Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Club Heroes, Alfiana Kampi, era for Titans, and Cameron McInnes, parallel for Sharks. Showcase, David Clemmer for the Tigers. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jada Ferguson for the Broncos. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for Dragons. Season 2 member Patil Vet Welsh for the Tigers. Regan Campbell Gillard parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Parallel Stefano Utokumanu for Tigers. Rising Stars Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Ben Drabojevic parallel for Manly. Season 2 member Luke Keary for the Roosters. Parallel Jerome Luai for Panthers. World in League Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Victor Radley parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL Emma Manzelman for the Cowboys. Jared Rera-Hargraves parallel for the Roosters. World in League Holly Dodd for the Raiders. Xavier Coates parallel for the Storm. Gold parallel Jesse Southwell for the Knights, number 61. Jack Bird parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember Micah Sivo for the Eels. Big Papa parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars Ryan Rivet for the Knights. Christian Welsh parallel for the Cowboys. World in League Molly Olika-Atu parallel for Manly. Blake Laurie parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. Micah Sivo parallel for the Eels. Club Hero for the Eels, Abby Church. Max King parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Titans parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Wirumi Greig for the Eels. Murray Talagi parallel for the Cowboys. Sword and Shield team for the Tigers. Cody Walker parallel for the Rabbitohs. World in League Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Selwyn Cobbo parallel for the Broncos. And our White Authentics. Number 25, Ella Costa for the Dragons. We got Dragons, Roger Cito. Eels parallel checklist. Rising Stars for the Warriors. Valance to wear parallel for the Dolphins. Season to remember Elafiana Khan Pierre for the Titans. Oh, Greg Marshew, parallel for Knights. Sword and Shield, Mr. Tedesco for the Roosters, and Tamir Martin parallel for the Warriors. Few packets left, 4 packets left for box number 10. Had to think there, three sitting there threw me off. Rising Stars, Holly Dodd for the Raiders, Blake Brayley parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Destiny Brill for the Broncos, Jareem Abdullah parallel for the Tigers. Bunty Afoa, showcase for the Warriors. Adokar parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Talon De Silva for the Tigers. Front door, Sebastian Chris parallel for the Raiders. Alright, let's go. Box number 11. Rising Stars, Ruby Ellis for the Eels. Micah Sivo parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Max King parallel for the Bulldogs. Bunty Afoa, showcase for the Warriors. Titans parallel checklist. Oh, I found my first web key, guys. I've managed to pull my first web key. I was so happy. Probably already sold on the website, but yes. We had one. Finally. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Oh no, it wasn't. It was in the break. What am I talking about? Yeah. Silly me. Sorry. Dream Buller, Sword and Shield for the Tigers. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. I knew I pulled one somewhere. Had a mind blank for a minute. Isabel Kelly, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Vitalina Nakor, World in League for the Cowboys. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for Broncos. Hopefully I didn't get anyone excited and go, look, Ben. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Valance to Ware, parallel for the Dolphins. Season to remember, Elafiana Campiera for the Titans. Greg Marshew, parallel for Knights. Gold parallel, Greg Marshew for the Knights, number 39. Demar Martin, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Sua Wong for the Roosters. Hapasai Coruscant, parallel for the Tigers. Women's NRL, Madison Bartlett for the Raiders. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Excuse me. Showcase, David Clemmer for the Tigers. Isaac Tago, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Club Heroes, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Dream Buller, parallel for the Tigers. Sword and Shield, Nat Butcher for the Roosters. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Isaiah Yo, parallel for the Panthers. Season 2 member, Micah Sivo for the Eels. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tallis Duncan for the Rabbitohs. Roosters parallel checklist. World in League, Racine McGregor for the Dragons. Jamal Fogarty parallel for the Raiders. Season 2 member, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Jerome Hughes parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Carl for the Bulldogs. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL, Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Josh Papali'i for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Tom Jenkins for the Panthers. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. World in League, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak for the Warriors. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Gold parallel, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels, number 137. Eels parallel checklist. Retirement, Wade Graham for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tom Weaver for the Titans and Jacob Preston parallel for the Bulldogs. Club Hero, Samaima Taufa for the Raiders. Alafiana Campiera parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Alex Johnston, World in League parallel for the Rabbitohs. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Running Machine, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys, number 26. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Box number 11, guys. 5th last packet. Rising Stars, Destiny Brill for the Broncos. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sword and Shield team for the Sharks. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. World in League, Tony Staggs for the Broncos. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Francesco Goldthorpe for the Cowboys Knights, parallel checklist. And last packet for box number 11. Season 2 remember, Bradman Best for the Knights, Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Here we go, final box for the case, box number 12. Alright, let's go. Lucky last box. What can we get? Lucky last box in the case. World in League, April for the Cowboys. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars for the Roosters. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Jessica Surgis for the Roosters. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season 2 member, Matthew Feagai for the Dragons. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. And gold parallel, Jared Rera Hargraves for the Roosters, number 3. Nice low one. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Ebony Pryor for the Tigers. Big Hammer, parallel for the Dolphins. Dylan Lucas, Club Heroes for the Knights. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Gordon Tong for Manly. Jermaine Hopgood, parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield, Reece Welsh for the Broncos. Adam Finor Blake, parallel for the Warriors. We finally got a like on the video. I was feeling a bit unloved. Normally got a few likes by now. Rising Stars, Mason Teague for the Dolphins. Sharks Parallel Checklist. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Georgia Hale, Women's NRL for the Titans. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Showcase, Reed Marnie for the Bulldogs. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. World In League, Adam Fanua-Blake for the Warriors. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. A gold parallel, Zali Faye for the Eels, number 15. Joseph Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. Retirement, Josh Reynolds for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Brendan Hands for the Eels. Parallel, Nick Meaney for the Storm. Club Heroes, Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Dragons, parallel checklist. Sword and Shield for Manly. Malaki Fotuaika, parallel for the Titans. World In League, Gale Broughton for the Broncos. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Kira Dib for the Cowboys. Broncos, parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Big Tino for the Titans. Jermaine Isako, parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Toby for the Dragons. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Zahara Tamara, Women's NRL for the Raiders. Dylan Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Showcase, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Thomas Cant for the Knights. Sean Bloor parallel for the Tigers. World in League, Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Tommy Turbo parallel for Manly. Season 2 member Hudson Young for the Raiders. James Fisher-Harris parallel for the Panthers. Rising Star Shante for the Titans. Lindsay Collins parallel for the Roosters. World in League parallel Katoni Staggs for the Broncos. Hudson Young parallel for the Raiders. Got 3 packets left for the final box of the case. We have Initial Authentics, number 169, Gale Broughton for the Broncos. Parallel Storm Checklist. Rising Stars, Tiana Smith for the Cowboys. Corey Horsburgh parallel for the Raiders. And last final packet for the case. Season 2 remember Nathan Cleary. And Harry Grant parallel for the Storm. Alright, once again we will tidy these up and get stuck into the final box of the break, our priority box. So last but definitely not least of the boxes, let's get stuck in. Rising Stars, Jesse Calhoun for the Sharks. Latrell Mitchell parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season 2 remember Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Katoni Staggs parallel for the Broncos. Showcase Bunty Afoa for the Warriors. Jesse Bromwich parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars Brendan Hands for the Eels. Phoenix Crossland parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Elsie Albert for the Eels. Warriors parallel checklist. World in League, Georgia Hale for the Titans. And Brighton Nakora parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Daniel Tupou parallel for the Roosters. Club Heroes, Kalen Ponga for the Knights, number 29. And Corey Horsburgh parallel for the Raiders. Sword and Shield, David Fafita for the Titans. Harry Grant parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Jermaine Hopgood, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Hannah Southwell for the Knights. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Thomas Cant for the Knights. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Saitili Tupanua, Welding League for the Roosters. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Millie Boyle for the Roosters, number 54. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Shante for the Titans. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Club Heroes, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs, number 22. Hamafido, parallel for the Dolphins. Season to remember, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Parallel Jackson Hastings for the Knights. Halfway through the priority box. Let's go. Rising Stars, Jada Ferguson for the Broncos. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Sword and Shield team. Well, this team alone's had a fairly good break for the Eels. Number 26. Sharks parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Zach Labert for the Cowboys. Joseph Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Pauline Razabel for the Tigers. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Showcase, David Clemmer for the Tigers. Dragons parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sandon Smith for the Roosters. Ryan Madison parallel for the Eels. World in League, Adam Fanua Blake for the Warriors. Jacob Kiraz for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Tyrone Peachy for the Panthers. Mawaki Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. And our World in League Priority number 13. Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. And another black. Nice. 2 blacks for the break. Number 12. Brendan Smith for the Roosters. We got Roosters. Tony Luxton. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. John Bateman parallel for the Tigers. Season 2 remember Bradman Best for the Knights. Daly Cherry Evans parallel for Manly. And gold parallel. Number 40, David Clemmer for the Tigers. Liam Martin parallel for Panthers. World in League April for the Cowboys. David Clemmer parallel for the Tigers. 2 packets left for the priority box and the break. But remember, that's not the end of it, so don't go anywhere. Rising Stars, Jack Howarth for Storm. Ruben Garrick parallel for Manly. And last but not least, don't forget we still have 2 randomisations to get done. Season to remember, Valance to Ware and Nathan Cleary parallel for Panthers. Alright, so we have our group card showcase as well as our $100 bonus gift card. So let's change screens and get them done. Good luck everyone. For the showcase card first, and then we'll do the bonus $100. Number 1. Number 2 and lucky last, number 3, Roger Cito with the Dragons for the group card. And we will refresh. Do I have it pasted? No, I do not. Alright, we are ready to go. Number 1, this is for the bonus $100 gift card. Number 2, and lucky last when it loads, there we go. Number 3, Jordan with Storm, congratulations. I'll fix that gift card up for you and get it sent out to you in your email. Alright, well that's it. That's all for today. Hope you had a ball and hope to see you in the next one.